No.
It's still burning away and it's hotting up the sale of the 100. Now, he's the man who'll give you the SP on all that. But, you know, up in Old Trafford and having Emirates Old Trafford having a vested interest, because they're one of the clubs, the originals, that's for sale, and the meetings are going on behind closed doors, that 49% is being sold and to be distributed to the counties. The talk is that the people who are buying 49%, and nothing will change, it'll be exactly the same, no personnel changes, no name changes, it's just going to be the same. Jarrod, that is utter nonsense. If you're going to spend millions and millions of pounds, you've got to have a say.
From what I understand of billionaires, they like to give their money away and then not be involved at all. They don't try and do power grabs. They don't do any change.
Unbelievable.
That's what I understand of billionaires, that they're just doing this out of the kindness of their own heart. They see that county cricket is struggling and they're going to give some, I mean, who thinks that? Who are these people in these, that's not the only county that believes that. There's a few of the other counties as well.
So generally speaking, yeah, generally.
It's only 49%. It's like, It's not 49% when the Ambani family buy you. Do you know what I mean? It's once someone like that buys in, everything changes. They're going to expect color changes. They're going to expect coaching changes. They're going to
name changes.
Game changes, I like it.
Admin,
everything.
Admin.
Yeah.
And so
the way the social media is done, right?
Yeah.
The way that people are coached, when they have access to the grounds, who has access to the grounds, at what time of the year they have access to the grounds. These guys aren't just putting this money in for fun, right? They want to take this over. And so this idea that you're only selling 49% is a pipe dream, because on one side, you have a county who's never going to make that much money. And on the other side, you have billionaires who have endless checkbooks. They're going to have to go back to the billionaires again, aren't they? And so whether it is through, extra money coming in, whether it is through influence, whether it is through bringing in sponsors, all those things are going to come from the 49%, not the 51%.
Yeah, how much is it? So what sort of money are we talking? And let's say the Birmingham franchise or the Emirates Old Trafford franchise, how much are we talking? What's the ballpark figure?
Well, how much do the ECB want? Or how much are we actually talking about?
Well, how much are they talking about? That is the person or people or the enterprise that's buying, how much are they willing to pay?
So I haven't seen any official offers, but I know that offers have gone in, and I know that there's certainly been offers go in from everywhere from $50 to $200 million is what I've heard, depending on the franchise.
Dollars.
Well, yeah, dollars. I mean, when you're on calls with those sorts of people, you don't want to stop them and go, is that dollars or pounds? But dollars and pounds are about the same now, isn't it?
Give or take.
But yeah, so I think it's in that kind of ballpark that we're looking. But the only big money I've really heard is for the two London sides. Mm-hmm. That's the one that people are desperate for. Because you're talking about Indian billionaires who have flats, and sometimes, flats as being a little bit unfair.
I've got a flat.
A flat.
I don't think we're on the same level.
They own buildings.
I own a very small room in a building.
Yeah. They own buildings overlooking personal parks in London, that sort of thing. Modi is one of those, by the way. But they own those sorts of things in London, and they want to be able to say that they own English cricket and that they can also go down the road and watch their team play, right? So the other areas are not quite as strong because of that. I don't know if you might get a couple of people who are more interested in maybe the Birmingham and the Manchester side of things, but at the moment it seems like all the money is coming for the London teams, and that's where the clamour is, because that's where the real growth is, right? Like if you make the 100 work in London, you are talking about a lot of money, whereas if you make the 100 work in some of these other markets, you're probably not looking the same kind of investments, which is why the ECB is desperate to try and get other people from outside of just India involved.
America.
They've done a lot of work with the Americans, and I've talked to about 3 or 4 potential investors from America. And they're like, I don't understand what I'm buying, Jarrod. Like, we've gone through the numbers and it doesn't really make a lot of sense to us. So there's certainly an element from that sort of, that side of things where people are saying, are we buying something that might work one day rather than something that's already working now? And that's when the Americans, you can imagine, they're a little bit like, that's not the same. Whereas for an Indian person, they're like, well, we can see how this might grow, but also we get a chance to say we own a cricket team at Lord's. Like, we're going to do that.
So will the 49%ers have an influence on who actually plays?
Yes.
There we go.
And who coaches and who maybe runs the whole board in the end, right?
Is there any way we could see Indian players playing in the 100?
these owners wouldn't be buying all these teams around the world. Forget the 100, but the 100 as well, without the idea that eventually, that's how they make their money, right? So the Ambani family owns South Africa, Dubai, Major League Cricket, I think, and quite a few of the other owners own CPL teams as well, right? The idea is that they'll be able to eventually do this. So the BCCI a couple of years ago was laughing at all the other cricket boards going, ha ha, look at them all struggling and look at what we're doing. And now they're starting to understand what happens when you sell. And you sell to people who are even more influential and more powerful than you are. And so it won't be long before all those owners band together and go, no, we've invested in this young Indian player. We're now going to take him on a world tour and he's going to play in the USA and he's going to play in England. And, eventually they'll try and buy big bash teams. Well, they're already trying to buy big bash teams. I think there was an article the other day, I don't know if you saw this, that every couple of months they fly out to Australia and see if there's any chance of a sale. So they're trying to buy everything.
Did this have to happen, do you think, guys? If we're looking at it now just on what's best for the 100 and what's best to try and grow the 100, outside investment coming in after 4 years of the 100, did this have to happen, do you think?
Well, Big Bash hasn't done it. Don't you think that's weird? That the league that you've copied has not done it and you have done it. So the Big Bash seems to be really happy with just slow growth, right? And building up. And also, the Big Bash is no longer the biggest league at that time of the year. And they're still like, no, we're going to do this properly. We're going to set this up like a league, get us to a situation. It's interesting to me that the ECB seem to have spent so much money on the 100 that they already need all this investment to not break even, but
Spent a lot of money
to make it work, right? Like that to me suggests that they haven't really run the 100 that well. It hasn't been the success that they want it to be, and this 49% is not a small amount, right? Like if it was 10 or 15%, I'd be like, okay, I can understand that, and maybe they can manage those people. But once you're talking about the kind of money that you're doing here, I think it's too early for the 100 to do this because the 100's not a strong competition yet, right? Like I compare it to the Big Bash because that is the one that's copied on. The Big Bash, every year how many people roughly are going to watch it. You know what the interest is. There's a lot of media coverage of it. It's a major thing. It's on free-to-air TV. It's on pay TV. People watch it all the time. The 100 is like still a Sky product with a little bit of BBC.
Yeah.
The Sky I don't feel Sky push it as hard as they could because it's not just their product on their own. ECB is not very good at marketing cricket. They never really have been. That's why we have the 100 in the first place. So it feels like to me at the moment, they are selling from a position of weakness, not a position of strength. And once you do that to a billionaire will just keep chipping away until they have all the power.
See, I'd be so excited. I'm quite positive about it all. And I hear what he's saying. The money will be what it is. Well, they'll come to an agreement. I'm more interested in once you've bought. Now, what are your plans? What plans have you got in that particular area? Let's talk Manchester or Birmingham. What are your plans for cricket in that area? Now, that's the excitement. And the other thing that these people, particularly from India, are excellent at digital awareness, to get into digital media. Market leaders, in fact. So where are you going to project and promote your product that you've just bought?
And I think that's a really interesting thing because the 100 exists because of how bad the ECB have been from the TCCB days all the way through to now, right? So cricket goes from a majority game in this country to a minority game, right? Now, I know football getting big has played a big part in that as well. But how many times have you thought to yourself, the ECB is doing really well with their marketing at the moment. Oh, look, there's a bus with Sam Curran on it looking slightly constipated. That's the only marketing I see in London of cricket. Have you ever seen that? You know the bus.
I've seen Sam Curran constipated. No,
In the Surrey T20 team, they have this picture of Sam Curran on the side of a bus, and he just looks constipated. My point is, they're not particularly good at marketing their players. They don't get their players out in the media enough. You look at Flintoff is the only breakout star of cricket prior to Ben Stokes. And so about every 10 years, they have like one breakout star, right? It's not a mainstream sport in that kind of way. And so that's why the 100 exists. So what the billionaires will do is they're going to bring all these different other ideas. So from that point of view, I could see why it might work. But they're not doing it to help English cricket or the 100.
No.
Right? They don't care. They want their brand, whether it be the Royals or the Indians or whoever that brand is, KKR. They want those brands to be stronger. But at the same time, I think that you're probably of the right age of this. there's a whole generation of cricket fans who are not as strong into the English team now, who are in their mid-20s, and that's because they grew up watching the IPL on free-to-air TV. There's been really good brand awareness around IPL teams in the UK before. It's dropped off now that it's gone back to pay TV a little bit, but there was certainly a period of time where this was a very interesting thing. That's the sort of thing that these people will bring back into it, and also the Americans as well. Like, let's imagine at least one or two American groups are going to come in. Your friend Ryan Reynolds, your close personal friend of the show.
Friend of this YouTube show as well.
Yeah, I loves it. He's watching
I hope you're okay.
He's watching it all the time. But those sorts, again, think of the kind of marketing they do in cricket, and think of the kind of marketing cricket does at the moment. It's like, there's a big difference there. So there is some things we can learn from everything else, but you are giving up the heart and soul and potentially the control of the sport.
Bumble, are you happy with that?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I mean, it's going to get hotter. It's hot now, but it's going to come to a crescendo very soon.